This is Eric Mintel. You're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the UK's biggest paranormal radio network. And this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. Okay, just before we head into the show properly, just have a little listen to this short track and you'll see the sort of talent we're dealing with today. Thank you.
Hello, this is Adele Casals-Rocha, and you're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the UK's biggest paranormal network. And this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Hello, welcome to the show. Thank you for that intro, Adele. Now today is going to be a little bit of a spin-off into the world of music as well. I've got a description here, and it says, as long as music attracts dedicated young musicians like Eric Mintel, who's going to be my guest today, jazz will continue to thrive and progress as a voice of freedom. Dave Brubeck said that. Eric, I'll just invite Eric in just a moment, but just before I do that, I've got a few call-outs for a few people. Calvin Parker, hope you're getting better. I was supposed to be meeting you last week, but you couldn't get over because you're not very well, and I hope you're getting better, Calvin. And you're in Pascagoula, Mississippi, USA. We've got Frank Willis, Preston, UK, he's a good friend of mine. And hello to Tracy Stannard, Basel and Essex, UK. Right, now I'm going to waste no more time because I'm intrigued by this, and you've heard a little sample of the music that we're going to be We've got to talk a bit about the music because it's a big part of Eric's life, and he's a professional musician. He's got his own the Eric Mintel quartet in high demand, as I can understand it. I mean, it seems to be all over Facebook where I see he's got different gigs going on every night, and I think he's got a gig tonight, as I understand it. But anyway, welcome to the show, Eric.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you so much. And joining me here is Dave Antonow as well.
Ah, hello, David. Nice to see you. Right, yeah, so we've got two guests for the price of one.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So Dave, are you the guitar player in the group, or?
Bass player.
Bass player, right. Well, they'll say to me that's guitar because I don't know much about guitar playing. So, but, I mean, I'm quite intrigued about your musical career. I mean, how long have you been doing that? Is it all kind of all your life, or?
Well, pretty much. I mean, since probably my parents I always say that my parents could always find me at the piano when I was 3 years old. And we didn't have much, but we had a nice piano that was almost in tune, almost some of the time. And so they could always find me at the piano. And then, you know, I come from a family of musicians as well as, and I know Dave does as well. But I always had good music playing in the house, and I think environment was everything. You know, classical and jazz. And then when I was 14. I found jazz, and I found who would be my mentor in jazz would be Dave Brubeck. And from that point, when I was 14, I wanted to learn everything I could on Dave and listen to a lot of other players, and then basically became friends with Dave.
Oh, it's great. So you knew him fairly well then?
Oh yeah, he wrote some liner notes for our CDs. He gave me quotes like the one you just read. And
I'm sorry I stumbled over it a bit. It's
No, not at all.
Yeah, we worked on some, you know, as a pre-act for some of his concerts in Philadelphia and some places like that.
Yeah. It's I'll tell you, I had an early introduction to a bit of jazz in my young years when there was a TV program called Route 66. Do you remember that? Yeah, you remember that one?
and it's still on in the US here every night.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, well, it used to be one of my favourite shows, and that music is still one of my favourite pieces of music. You know, the title theme music for it.
I don't know if you have
Nelson Riddle, I believe, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if you have it over there, but we have a channel over here called MeTV, M-E-TV, and they play all these great old shows like the Route 66, Columbo, all those great Mannix, like we talked about the other day.
Yeah. I've actually got the DVD set of all the Route 66s actually, the four seasons of it.
I think the original one was Nat King Cole Trio, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? I know there's a few different versions of the Route 66. Because there's a Route 66 song, which is different to the tune, isn't it, really? But that tune really grabbed me when I was young, and I really always I still love it. You know, it's on my iPod, so. But
that's great.
I think that was probably my first introduction to a bit of jazz, because I think the character in it, he was a bit of a jazz fan. Was it Buzz Murdoch, wasn't it? He's a jazz fan in it.
Dave would probably know more than I would.
Yeah, George Maharis.
Who?
George Maharis.
Was that on Route 66?
Yeah, George Maharis. He was the fellow with the dark hair, and he had the fellow with the freckles.
Okay.
Which is,
yeah.
But anyway, we do digress a bit. But I was just that was my first introduction to a bit of jazz.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because it's funny how people come into the music from all different angles, you know, and my parents, I was lucky enough, had a great record collection. So I basically found the records in their collection. And I was listening to a lot of different things. I was listening to rhythm and blues. I was listening to Ray Charles, Elvis. And then I found this old 45 with Dave Brubeck. With Take 5 and Blue Rondo, and I put that record on, and I just thought, wow, you know, and I had been playing the piano, and I thought, you know, wow, this is what I wanted to play jazz at that point, and this was like 1982, and this is what I want to do, you know, with my life at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like even early rock music's got a lot of jazz influences in it, isn't it? You know, like a lot of the early Elvis stuff, especially stuff in King Creole, that was quite jazzy, a lot of that music.
Oh, yeah, Dixieland, a lot of Dixieland jazz in there.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think the American jazz is quite different to our, what we call trad jazz over here. It's a bit, what I call plinky plonky music over here. It's like, but I think the American jazz is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they called Dave Brubeck was cool jazz back, it's from California, cool. But then if you ask Brubeck, he said there's no way he could ever he didn't understand how he could be classified cool. Because he was playing some like pretty raucous stuff back even in the 50s.
Yeah, he was doing stuff with the time meters that no one had done before too, which is part of the thing that put him on the map.
Right.
Odd time signatures.
Yeah, I think even the early Frank Sinatra stuff, some of that was quite jazzy, wasn't it?
Sure. Oh yeah, big band, the big band stuff. Sure, Duke Ellington, all those guys.
Because again, that was Nelson Riddle he played a lot with, didn't he?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
I know you mentioned Elvis. I know you told me off air that you went to see Elvis in Madison Square Garden. I'm really jealous.
That was Dave. Yep, Dave saw him.
Yeah, I actually saw him twice. I saw him in 1972 and then again in 1973 when he first started doing his live shows again.
Yeah. Well, I think he was sort of up against a weight problem around about that time, wasn't he? And I think it was sort of the beginning of his voice never failed, but
well, when I saw him, he was still in his prime. About a year and a half later, after I saw him, he started really tubbing up.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I think he'd always suffered. He'd always suffered with his weight, even through all the movie years, anyway. But
yeah, it was
I think probably it was a struggle. But,
Dave, when Dave went, did you see him there? And you didn't, you could hear it was like constant screaming.
Yeah, the first one, we were up in the cheap seats in Madison Square Garden. It's about a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
And the constant, back then they had flash cubes, cameras. Constant flash cubes, constant screams the whole time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. I bought that album back in 72, I think it came out, wasn't it? It was at Madison Square Garden. And
that's the one after that.
I was telling Eric, I've got the collector's box set now. It's called Prince from Another Planet.
Yeah.
Because as I understand it, Bob Dylan was in that audience. And I'm not sure if it was Bob Dylan that gave him that title. I seem to remember it might have been.
Yeah, sounds like it could have been something Bob had said.
Elvis, I don't know if you know that. Well, you probably know this too, but Elvis was big superhero fan, so he was a big Captain Marvel fan. So he had his costumes made in his capes. If you look at Captain Marvel's costume, it looks just like the cape that he usually wore all the time.
Yeah,
that was his big idol.
Yeah, it started off as a jumpsuit, then it turned in with the cape as well. And I think it was to portray the American Eagle as well, wasn't it? To a certain extent.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the last time he wore the cape actually was at the Hawaii concert when he actually threw the cape into the audience. That was kind of saying that's the end of the cape years now, and he was going.
Well, he actually did that. I saw him twice at the Garden and at Nassau Coliseum, and he threw the cape out at the end of the performance on both of those.
Yeah, I mean they weren't cheap either, were they?
And I think, I don't know if it's the same one, but maybe it was a lesser value one or something. I don't know, but he threw him out on both.
I don't think he worried too much about that, really.
As a matter of fact, Dave has one right now.
I think for the Hawaii concert what he did, he gave the belt that he was wearing in the run-up show to Jack Lord of Hawaii 5-0, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they had to rush around trying to get another one ready for the main concert.
Yeah, he was a character.
Amazing character.
What a great guy. I mean, did a lot of great things for music, and just it was a shame with the prescription drugs because he was just deep down just a really decent human being.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a down-home country boy, wasn't it? It was really, it's
kind of a product of his environment and his handlers,
definitely, yeah. I mean, I think he had lots of hangers-on that took advantage of who he was and what money he had and everything, and
yeah, big time.
But anyway, I've been to like Mississippi and Memphis and things like that, so I've had a bit of a background in because Mississippi is very jazz orientated, isn't it? And Louisiana.
We actually, speaking of Elvis, we went to Graceland. We had some gigs in Tennessee, and we took the advantage of being there. We had with the plane when it flew into Memphis Airport. And I said to Dave, I said, we're right around the corner from Graceland. Let's go.
Yeah,
you got to do it, yeah.
And we went in. Oh man, it was like a time capsule. It was just wild.
Yeah.
It was, a lot of it was like, I was very surprised of some of the, the simplicity of the house itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he could have had a much bigger house somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
When you consider what some superstars or megastars have got now, they're sort of worth like, I don't know, $100 million or something, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. But it was wild to see from floor to ceiling. We went into the it was the racquetball court.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was floor to ceiling high of gold, all the gold records.
That's right. And he was awarded, I think one of the years I was there, they just awarded a big, massive award for all the CD sales, which reached the ceiling almost.
Oh man, unbelievable.
Anyway, we can't make this all about Elvis, so as much as I'd like to.
Well, he was from another planet. Now, come on.
That's true, yeah.
Another dimension.
Right, I suppose, seeing as this is a paranormal show, I better get into the paranormal, anyway, they'll be giving me the sack.
we got to keep the fans happy here.
Now, you run the Bucks County Paranormal. What do you call it? Is it a group, or just call it Bucks County Paranormal?
Bucks County Paranormal Investigations, and we're doing a few things. We're actually promoting paranormal tourism because we have in our area we have a lot of and you being British, you'll dig this too, that there's a lot of the we just actually did a video at the General Warren in Malvern, and that has a lot of ties to the British Army and things like that. That's down in right outside of Philadelphia. Yeah, right. So there's a lot of history in our area.
Like going back to the Revolutionary War,
Mm. Well,
and
when we let you have America back, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. When we took America, we took the person.
So that's what we're doing here, and we've got so many great places here to investigate, and we also have a lot of ties to the Underground Railroad around here as well. Right. A lot of the historical venues will have paranormal activity in the venue. Well, that venue that has that paranormal activity, it turns out that there's an Underground Railroad tunnel underneath that property. Right. So a lot of residual energies and things like that. So we'll go out and investigate, and we make it like like short documentaries on a lot of these structures. We've got one coming up on September 4th in an area in Pennsylvania called Jim Thorpe, which is a beautiful little downtown area, but and it was named after, I think Jim Thorpe was an American Indian.
He was an athlete, yeah.
But he was also an athlete, but he excelled in every single sport he was number one in. And this is back in the early 20th century.
Yeah, early 20th century.
But they've got it. So we're going to be doing a video at the Inn at Jim Thorpe on September 4th. And so we'll do that. We've got other videos that we do. When we first started, we started doing some fun videos. And I do have to say a lot of our videos are very family friendly. They're not scary. They're not like the Hollywood scary kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a couple on your page. They're quite funny, actually. Well done. But what I'll do when this show goes out, I'll put a few links on my Paranormal Dimensions page so that people can see what you get up to.
That would be phenomenal. Thank you so much. Yeah. And beside the videos, I have a TV show that we've got people coming on, and like yourself, which I'm hoping that I'll have you on as a guest. We'll do a Skype interview.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we have authors, we have people in the paranormal world. It's called Bucks County Paranormal, The Interviews. And I just had Bill Burns on. You saw Bill.
I know. How jealous was I about that? Yeah.
He had the nephew of Barney and Betty Hill?
Yep, the niece. The niece is, yep. Kathleen. Yep, she was on.
I had her on my show a few shows back, actually.
Yeah.
When Kathleen Marden, just after Stanton Friedman, we lost Stanton Friedman. I invited her on, and we did I did a quick sort of rush show basically, and I fitted her in.
That was great. She's a great lady.
Yeah, she's very nice. Yeah.
And what a story! I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
Amazing story. So we'll do that, and then And then just today, I mean, this morning I got a report on, I get messages on the Bucks County Paranormal site. So this morning I got a UFO report. Somebody saw a UFO last night. So, so we're like, it's becoming like a center of all kinds of activity.
So what's your take on, do you believe in UFOs yourself? Have you seen any?
Well, I do. I do believe in that. On the ghost end of it, I'm more like I want to see more evidence that's why we do these, because I want to say that I'm on the fence with a lot of stuff. But as I was just telling Dave earlier, the more and more that we're doing these videos, we see some really kind of interesting things that we can't really explain. And then it makes me think, well, maybe there is something to this whole thing that I always think that people are connectors with those type of events as well.
Yeah. I believe there's a lot goes on that, I believe in the spirits and things, because I've seen enough evidence to support that,
Yeah. We, absolutely. And what were you saying there?
I was just saying that on the UFO side of it, I mean, logically and scientifically, I mean, to me, there's no doubt. It's just a matter of, when people are going to be made aware of what's really been happening for probably
millions of years.
No, I agree with you, Dave. I mean, I saw one back in '67. It was a big orange oval object going across the sky.
Yeah, wow.
Now in a couple of weeks, I've got a guest named Terry Ray coming on. He's another American. And I actually sought out a book about orange orbs, and he wrote a book about orange orbs, the orange orb invasion. So you might be interested to hear that, but
absolutely.
I just think it's interesting now that the U.S. government has been declassifying a lot of documents. A lot of these stories from all different points in the country are starting to, they're all similar stories, and it's all kind of starting to come together a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the descriptions are amazing, aren't they? When you see the similarities between them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we were just saying, it was like a lot of the stories are of the same look, the same type of craft. You said orange orbs. I'd be interested in that story because, my girlfriend and I were going across a bridge here in New Jersey a couple of years back, and out of nowhere, 5 of these orange orbs just appeared over the river. And it looked like they were doing a search pattern. So as she's looking at this whole thing, I'm trying to get my phone and take a picture. And as I was able to snap one picture off, but there were 5 orbs, and each one kind of dissipated out. They kind of disappeared. They came up, looked at the search pattern, and then it went away. So, and I thought, wow, could these be Chinese lanterns? We were near a restaurant. Could this have been maybe a wedding? Maybe they were setting some things off, but there was nothing happening. This is early January, so I don't think anybody's having a wedding outside in bitter cold, so that's what really got me. And then we were in South Carolina on a gig, actually. And right after the gig was over, or the night before the gig, actually, they had a little party for us. And we were at the person's house. We're outside. I looked over, and it looked like a point of light coming from behind the trees. And it was like, when you see a shooting star.
Yeah, you see that's right.
It's a short trail, and then it disappears. Well, this was like a reverse shooting star. It just kept going up, and it was like a trail, and it just kept arcing and kept going. And it was like, we were like, I'm waiting for it to stop. And none of my other guys saw it, but this other guy that was at the party, he was looking in the same direction I did, and we both saw it. And then it disappeared, but it didn't disappear. It just kind of like got out of our sight, but it was still a long trail. And I looked online the next day, and other people saw it as well. And nobody could explain it to this day what it was.
I just sometimes you got to be careful, because some people might see something moving up there, and they're probably looking at the space station or something on the way,
Yeah, that could have been. But this had like it started as a point of light, and then it had like a trail, then a trail behind it, like an afterburner. So it wasn't a rocket, I know that, but this is complete soundless too. That was the other thing. Yeah. There was no sound
going up also,
and it was going up too.
Yeah. It's like that one. I mean, I called it an orb, but in actual fact, it was more like a big oval object, because it was way up in the sky, and it was a big oval object pulsating across the sky, and that was completely silent. So now to call it an orb, it kind of seems like a small thing, doesn't it? But this was very large.
Well, and you were talking about ghosts. We did a video at a place in our area here called McCool's Red Lion Inn. And we were interviewing people, the servers and things like that had all these great stories about, the things that they've seen there at the restaurant. There's a lot of paranormal activity. So the one thing that really got me thinking was we're interviewing the server, this guy Brian, server meaning he's a waiter, and he's serving. And so he was telling us his story. And as he's telling us the story, I just happened to see something out of the corner of my eye, didn't think anything of it, but then went back and looked at the footage. And sure enough, it was a real small translucent orb that literally came right between us and the camera. And it was really cool. And it wasn't a piece of dust. It wasn't a bug. It wasn't a reflection or anything like that. So we actually caught something like that. We caught some audio anomalies, in some of the investigations. And again, that one had a underground railroad tunnel as well. Right. It couldn't get to it. It couldn't really access it, but there was a lot of other things there. So, we're very open-minded to stuff, but again, it's like I want to see more evidence too,
I think we all do. You've got to weigh up what it could be first before you start jumping down the paranormal road, haven't you? Every time. Exactly.
I don't know how you are, but I'm always like, when I see something strange, or hears about something, I'm like, well, or if you see some new footage of, you see this UFO, this declassified German UFO, I think it was, you could tell it's CGI. You could really tell that somebody put it together to make it look old. And I look at that and say, well, that's got to be CGI. So until you come up with some kind of thing that says, well, no, this is, actual footage. Where did they get it from? And nobody knows where it came from. So that's where you're kind of at a loss, what's real, what's not real.
Oh, absolutely. Especially nowadays. It's so easy to conjure fake anything up nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could do everything from your phone now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. You've got to be so careful. You really do need, you really need things that have been seen by several people at the same time, maybe from different areas even.
And that happens. That happens a lot.
And that's why a lot of the newly declassified military footage from fighter planes and stuff like that, some of those are really fascinating because, there it is right in front of you.
Yeah, and for pilots like that to come forward.
Right, there's a date stamp on it. It's, the seconds are clicking by. You can actually see it in real time.
Yeah. We just did, and you had Jim on your show recently, and I just interviewed Jim Peniston as well. Same thing, and he was a tech sergeant, with the Army or with the Air Force in Woodbridge, right there in England, and that 1980 Rendlesham Forest incident was amazing. That's still being talked about. How many years later?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
30.
That's 40 years coming next year.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, and a lot of really physical trace evidence. They actually made casts of the landing gear that was found in the forest.
Yeah, and one of them actually went missing as well from a package, doesn't it? I think it was Colonel Holt's luggage. He had one in the luggage and it disappeared. so whoever had that, I don't know. But you may not know, but I've got Colonel Holt's a friend of mine. I think I mentioned it, didn't I? And in a couple of weeks, I've actually got a conference for him over here.
That's great. I saw that, and I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of years ago at the MUFON conference out here in Philadelphia. And really great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, he's just straight as a die. He's not the type that would lie about anything, And plus, plus the position he was in the Air Force. It really stumped his growth really in the Air Force. It kind of, it wasn't the sort of thing that he wanted to come out with that they saw a UFO.
No, not at all. That was the whole thing there, and the fact that he had a handheld recording tape. And dictating into that what was happening in real time, and to keep it all these years was genius on his part.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever meant to sort of come out publicly like that. I think it was just one of those things that I don't know, history took over and sort of just made it come out, didn't it?
I think that, and I think the public's a little bit more open-minded to these things now too. Maybe 25, 30 years ago, maybe not so much so.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Honestly, the whole memorandum was never meant to be released either. That was done by public request, really. That was just a report for our British government, really, because the event happened off base.
Yes, exactly.
So they had to explain why they left base to investigate it, and
Sure.
and the rest is history, as they say.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We just did on Monday, we did a video in Colts Neck, New Jersey of an orb, but kind of like an oval-shaped sphere that people had been seeing from 1958, 1970, and 2002. And apparently, this object landed in 1970 and made marks in the meadow that it landed in. A police officer saw it. By the time he got over there, it was gone. It made all the newspapers back in the day. There's been newspaper stories written about it. But what amazes me is nothing more has been written about it since 2002. Now, 2002, there was a crop circle. And actually, Bill Burns and I were there on Monday, and we were in the actual field where the crop circle. So we wanted to try to look at this forensically to see, hey, is there any kind of evidence here? Could you get any kind of magnetite reading or whatever from the soil? And Bill's going to have that analyzed.
Right.
But then you've got to look at it this way too. Then in 2002, the movie Signs came out. So a lot of people thought it was a hoax. But the crop circle itself was like 460 some odd feet long, by 236 feet wide. So that was a pretty ambitious hoax. But you don't know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things have been associated with UFO sightings with the crop circles, and there's always some kind of correlation. But what that correlation is, that's why you want to get that, that evidence and investigate it more.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, we get some quite complicated crop circles over here. Now, I'm pretty sure that some of those are faked. Now, you must have some fakers over in the States as well that do it,
Yeah.
But do they get together, I wonder, like like the fakers over here and the fakers over here, to do it in the same ways, because they're so complicated, some of them.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's put it this way. Probably on YouTube, you could find everything. How to make a crop circle, Well,
I mean, I'll tell you what, even if you're going to fake something in the dead of night, without anyone knowing about it, and the size they are, to me seems kind of, I don't know. You think you think somebody'd know what was going on, like the farmer seeing strange lights in his field? Because you'd obviously have to have lights going on.
You'd have to see what you're doing.
You'd hear it. There'd be all kinds of
There couldn't be just you'd have to see exactly where you're stepping, where things are going, and for some of those to be so intricate too. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know. I mean, some people, it is said that some of those are actually fake, but, I mean, which ones you say are fake and which ones are not? Maybe that's the whole idea. Like the Secret Services do some fake ones so that you never know which ones are the fake ones and which ones are the real ones,
Yeah, that could be, that could be very, very truer than you think.
Well, there's a researcher over here, I don't know if you've heard of him, called, David Caton, his name is. And he does specialise in crop circles. And he says that a lot of, there are cover-ups with the MI5 and everything. They have got a squad that actually do fake ones. And they mix them in with the real ones. But how true that is, I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't put it, I wouldn't think it would be out of the realm of possibility.
But and also, then you have to ask yourself, well, why do they do that? I mean, is there something that they don't want you to know? And, especially in this day and age, are they still trying to hide things to that extent?
Well, I don't know. I think, look at the hieroglyphics on the, in Egypt. I mean, a lot of these, now there's like some things coming out that, even the Sphinx is even older than what they thought it was going to be. What they originally thought. So who knows? Maybe these crop circles are some kind of like type of language, to communicate with another species. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, especially when you go back to the ancient aliens theory, in South America. They're Eric von Däniken and everything.
Sure.
All those old Aztec and the Teotihuacan or whatever it's called. There's loads of the old. They're very much like crop circles, aren't they? But made of rocks and. The
Nazca lines and all of those that you can only see from the air.
Yeah, I'm thinking the crop circles too. That could be it could be an indication of a signal to some other ship or something, and the fact that it is a temporary thing. It's like
it's like you're marking your territory.
Kind of like that. It's like circling something on the map for somebody.
Yeah, that could be. You know, they said that I think one of the scientists on one of the Ancient Aliens shows was saying that mathematics would probably be the way we would be communicating with each other. And maybe that's a mathematical equation. Maybe we're looking at it in a whole different way. Yeah. Maybe we're looking at it as a crop circle, but maybe it's not at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of like, mathematical equation somehow.
Yeah, we just got to decode it. Well, and then coming back to Jim Penniston again, his binary download kind of was mathematical, wasn't it?
Well, it was the thing. I don't know if I told Dave this, but it's when he touched the craft.
Yeah. All these ones and zeros.
He got all these ones and zeros. When he touched, actually, I should say, which I didn't realize this, and you know this, David, when he touched the part of the craft that had it was a triangle inside of a circle. When he touched that on the side of the craft and it was raised, he said it was a raised part of the ship. When he hit that, that's when this huge bright light went off and he just saw these ones and zeros and ones. And wrote it down like the next day. I don't think it was written down right away. I think it was written.
Apparently he saw them before his eyes. And they kind of, I lost you. Oh, no, you're still there. Well, I have a bit of an echo on the line. But, I think we've got aliens on the line. But then he wrote them down next, and he actually thought he was going mad. That's what he told me. And they said that's why he kept it quiet for so long. Because he actually thought he was, that something was going wrong in his head.
But then what was amazing was he said when he wrote the zeros and ones down in the notebook, he felt complete relief then. It was all of that was out of his head at that point.
Yeah. I mean, he says he had absolutely no idea what it all meant. And,
he had no idea. Well, right now, I don't know if he told you this, but there's a friend of his, that actually did research into the binary code. And they believe it's got some kind of mathematical signal code to it.
Yeah, Gary Osborne.
Gary Osborne, yeah, and we're going to be interviewing him probably in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He's out in.
Guess what? So am I.
You are too. That's great. He and I think I'm thinking of the same guy. It might be another guy too, but Gary, I think, lives in my area out here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think he does spend a lot of time over there. I don't know if he lives there permanently, but
no, so we're going to try to have him on our show. So, so I think, with what you're doing, what I'm doing, and what other researchers are doing, I think, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to figure out what is the answer.
Yeah. Well, if you have him on first, then say hello for me. I mean, I do speak to him. He sent me a message tonight, actually, so I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But he may have given me a date when he's coming on. But if you speak to him first, then say hi from me.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you in a little while on my show.
Absolutely. And you'll be on my show.
Yeah, and we'll do it the other way around as well.
Sure, for sure.
But
I'm just thinking it's a pretty interesting time right around now in the next few months to a year with all the declassification of this government Right to Know Act and stuff. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about this stuff in the immediate future.
Yeah, I mean, several presidents of yours have said they were going to release everything. We went back to I don't know, Carter's days, wasn't it? He said he was going to release all the UFO.
Oh, it was back to Nixon's days. Even Richard Nixon, the great story about that is Richard Nixon had a documentary crew that was going to, and Nixon was going to declassify all the UFO information, and it was going to start with a film, and this has been this is what I've been following for years, and I would love to see this film. But it was they actually got film of a UFO over Holloman Air Force Base that actually landed. And there was an exchange, and the aliens came out of the ship. Now, this is what Steven Spielberg based Close Encounters on.
All right.
So, so this is the story. So they got a documentary crew, ready to do this, film, and they started filming. I think Rod Serling, was the narrator. He was the host of the show. They had a lot of stars of the day, did it, and they filmed everything. But at the last minute, when they were ready to get the footage, they said they couldn't do it. They couldn't put the footage into this film. So I think the story goes, and there's like maybe 12 seconds of the leaked footage is in this film. It's called UFOs Past, Present, and Future, and it's from 1974, I believe. And they did an account in the video of what would happen if aliens would be seen, or if a spaceship was seen. So they did kind of like a mock-up, like a mock, of what would happen with some animation. But you could see about 12 seconds of this white orb kind of coming down onto the base. And I wonder to myself, I wonder if that is the real footage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you feel that the populations would take it? I think nowadays, we'd take it all in our stride, don't you? I don't think there'd be mass panic.
No, I don't think so. I think.
Oh no!
I think the way people are now, I think people are a little bit more open-minded with a lot of different things. I mean, you just look around you. I mean, it's like you've got so many different things going on all the time. I just think that people are a little bit more open-minded to the situation, and there wouldn't be mass panic. Even with Orson Welles, the H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Yeah. Back then they did that to say, hey, what would happen if, this would happen? There was supposed to be mass panic and all this kind of stuff. Now, Bill Burns and I were talking about this, and he knows, and he's done research on this, that there was no mass panic. That was all fake news. People were not taking their lives. Nothing was happening there. As a matter of fact, that show wasn't heard by as many people as they thought it was heard by.
Yeah, a lot of that was promo and publicity hype.
But
I actually thought there were lots of mass suicides and all sorts of things.
No, totally not true.
That was just part of it. That was part of.
Yeah, it was just part of the whole idea of the whole. That was to hype it up, to hype that whole. And of course, Orson Welles got in big trouble for that. Yeah.
I know there was a lot of trouble over it. Yeah.
And right after that, I think a radio broadcast had to do mandatory station breaks every 5 minutes. Because so if you listen to that account, there was long expanses where they did no, station break there. And you could think that what's going on, the army's on there talking about, all these aliens and somebody just tuning into that could be like, whoa, what is going on here? So, Bill Burns and I are actually going to do a video on that and about how the Rockefellers actually, marketed and, promoted that. It was all through the Rockefeller Foundation.
Right, yeah, that's, I think he was actually made to apologise, wasn't he? Orson Welles.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I don't think he ever did anything in America after that. No. I think he went to Europe. I think he was. I'm not sure where he went to. I think he might have gone to England. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he did sort of. I mean, obviously I was only tiny. Even if I was born, I'm not even quite sure. It was before my time, I think. but
we're just kids.
Yeah,
kids
that's
now.
Right. Yeah. I wish I was. But, what about Kennedy? I mean, going back to Kennedy, there was talk that he was going to expose the aliens as well, and apparently when he was having an affair with Marilyn Monroe, he told.
Yeah, you exposed something.
I mean, apparently he told her, and she was going to actually spill the beans, and that's why she was murdered. And then shortly after that, the reason that he was assassinated. How do you feel about that? Do you think there's any truth in that?
Oh, personally, I do completely, and I think the American Mafia was behind the Kennedy assassination.
But do you not think they were mixed with the CIA and the FBI and everything like that? Because I think there's connections there myself.
But I'm sure there are connections. I think if we knew what was going on that level, we'd be astounded. But yeah, I believe that for sure.
That was a little bit before my time. I was about, I was born in 1967. So, but over the years of looking at the research and the footage and everything like that, I mean, who knows, David? Yeah. You could have all kinds of different ideas there. But you just don't know.
I doubt very seriously it was what they say it is. I know there's more to it than that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, funny enough, I mentioned Route 66, didn't I, earlier on? The strange thing is that when I still remember this now, when Kennedy was assassinated, my favourite programme was Route 66, and they actually stopped the programme halfway through. It was about 8:30 to announce the Kennedy assassination, and they didn't continue the show. They actually played serious music for the rest of it. So that was just a little interjection there. Going back to it was just that's something that stuck in my mind all those years.
I think the whole country stopped at that point.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I think basically the world stopped, didn't it? Because back then there wasn't that many TV stations, especially not over here. We just had 2, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of that. I mean, a lot of the a lot of those things, you could do. That's why it's been researched time and time again, because there's no answers. There's what is the answer? And that's what researchers and, investigators have been doing for years. I mean, same thing with UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot. I mean, we talk about Bigfoot out here, that's another thing. A lot of people, are seeing some weird things in various parts of the country. Who knows what it is? You don't know. There's a guy that, you probably interviewed him too, Stan Gordon.
No, not yet.
No, Stan Gordon is, he's out in our area, out in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Well, it's about 4 hours. We're over here, outside of Philadelphia, northeast Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But, Stan has done a lot of research on the Bigfoot UFO connection.
Right.
And there's probably a lot of connections to that as well.
Yeah, you might have to point him in my direction. It sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, Stan would be a good guy. He would be a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I've not said anything about the Bigfoot or anything like that on the show yet. I've had the Loch Ness Monster and things like that, but not much about the Bigfoot. And funny thing is, I mentioned to you about Adele Casadas Roadshow, who did the intro to this show. She's had a lot of involvement with people going missing and things, and that's what a lot of her books are written about. You might like to have a chat with her, because she's a very interesting. If you can find my show actually, which was on a few you'll actually have a listen to. She's very good. And,
absolutely, yeah, sure.
I think she's actually also lives in your area, as
she
in
is?
the eastern states anyway.
Oh, that's great. Oh yeah, so that's great. Hold on, David. I'm getting my girlfriend here to take some. We're getting like a little video while we're here, so a little behind the scenes footage while you're talking to us, so we could just keep talking to us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what you throw me now? What do I say? Right. Okay. What's your feelings on? I don't know. All right, let's talk. Well, we mentioned the Loch Ness Monster. How do you feel about the stories about that? Have you heard much about it?
Well, yeah,
I mean, I could certainly see there being, some species prehistoric thing that only surfaces once in a while. They've seen things like that in Japan and stuff like that too. And I think it's very feasible. As far as Bigfoot, going in and, ordering from Burger King and something like that. I don't know about but the Loch Ness Monster.
There's another, we have out here in the States, we have the Lake Champlain, they call him Champ, Lake Champlain up in Vermont, outside of Burlington, Vermont. And a lot of people, there was a woman who took a photo of it back in the 70s, and it's still being disputed to this day, but people see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's something,
It could be, who knows? I mean, there could be something still that's held over from the prehistoric days.
Or it could just be a very elaborate, expensive hoax that somebody's...
Well, a lot of theories that I hear, and I kind of agree with, that a lot of these things are connected, and a lot of it could be actually interdimensional. And a lot of it could even be produced from people's own minds, basically.
Yeah.
If it's kind of a deep subject, but if you're looking at it from an interdimensional point of view, we could actually manufacture things from from our own minds. I don't know if you can sort of see where I'm coming from.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think you people want to see what they see. Maybe it's a ripple effect on the surface of the lake. Maybe that's at Loch Ness. Maybe that's you see like the waves of the water. Hey, that looks like it could be the hump of this creature.
Yeah.
You don't know, because you don't, to get like, one of the reasons why the out sometimes is because these things happen so quick, and unless you're there in a split second with a camera in your hand, that's why a lot of these things haven't been seen, because a lot of the times people don't. But even in the age of video cameras and cell phone cameras, there's still, it's too fast. It's not fast enough to be able to get a decent picture.
That's right.
Although there have been some really good video of UFOs and things like that are appearing, disappearing. I'm more of the belief of that than I am with some of the other types of things going on. But again, I'm open-minded to a lot of that, because
Loch Ness Monster and stuff like that, that could be easily explained biologically, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It could be just an unknown animal. I mean,
that's the whole thing, and they're finding species today.
Yeah, every day they find something different. You know,
every day they're finding something that they thought was extinct. Well, and that's a kind of a cool thing too, because here they thought it was extinct, but it's not. It's still here. You know, I mean, they want to bring back the woolly mammoth too.
Yeah.
Now, let's not bring my mother-in-law into this now.
There is, as far as Bigfoot goes, there's a lot of UFO reports linked to Bigfoot as well, isn't there? I mean,
absolutely. Look, I'll tell you what. The footage that Roger Patterson took in 1967, that I think, and I don't know, other people might disagree, but I think that's authentic footage. I think that he caught something that day, because it definitely was not a person in a suit. They've done so much research on that, and plus it was a female, because you could actually see breasts on this thing.
Oh, is this the famous colour footage of that you're talking about? Oh, right. Yeah, I know the footage you're talking about. Yeah.
From 1967.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then they did a lot of analyzing on that, and the stride of this thing, and they tried to put somebody in a suit to do it, and they couldn't do it. They could not replicate what this thing did. But of course, that's the first report. And then after that, then you've got people that are seeing these things, and then they're copying it, and then
they're doing TV commercials with
and then they're doing exactly, for beef jerky and whatnot. So, but I think that was authentic footage. The other thing that you're talking about, the UFO idea, that a lot of people don't know that a UFO was seen that day too. So that was the other thing. So I think that if you're talking about dimensions, maybe Bigfoot's in another dimension. Maybe he comes from maybe it's in another dimensional type of thing, type of atmosphere that, you know, that people are seeing, and they just happen to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think there's certainly some sort of disturbances that go on, and I'm sure that things do materialise and dematerialise. I mean, I think that's the reason why some of these UFOs that are seen, I don't think they're all extraterrestrial. I think some may well be interdimensional, and that's the reason they just disappear. You know?
I think they might. I think a lot of it comes from the oceans, which we call USOs, unidentified submerged objects. So, and that's why the pilots are seeing a lot of these things that are coming out of the water.
Oh yeah, I definitely think you're right. I mean, most of our oceans are unexplored, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, the oceans are like an area that's not even explored.
I mean, it makes sense if these things can fly from, you know, light years away. It's like the little water's not going to hurt them.
Right. Or they're not even doing that. They're in the water itself. They're living in the oceans.
Yeah, sure.
They're here already.
See, that to me, that was a little far out. It's more like they would be from somewhere else, and they're hanging out under there, and they're.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
That could be. I mean, look at some of the descriptions of these grays. I mean, they kind of look aquatic-like. You know, they look like they could be fish. You know, they really have that appearance, and everybody says that they're very like scaly, and they're very like shiny looking. So who knows? They could be they could be water-based.
And the reptilian type that you hear about as well. I think there's several types of reptilian, aren't there? From what I understand. I mean, I've not seen one, but I have spoken to people that have. So, I believe them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the whole other thing, the abduction experience. Now, you've got Betty and Barney Hill that were abducted. That was in 1961. Now, that was the first documented report of an abduction, but who knows? That could have been going on for years before that.
But people would be afraid to even say anything like of the mental illness thing. They would,
and even back then, it was like the, interracial couple. Betty was white, Barney was black. That was the last thing that they ever wanted, was to be in the public eye.
Yeah, around that time. But
what they have to gain, and then what Betty's description of the aliens were, that nobody ever saw that before. And then from that point on, that's what everyone's based on. Their abduction experience has been that, and they're very, very similar.
Yeah, there's similar accounts, all over the place.
Yeah, I mean that Star Trek she produced as well was quite amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then if you ever hear some of the hypnosis tapes that Barney and Betty were under with their doctor Benjamin Simon,
scary.
They're unbelievable. I mean, something definitely happened to them, and and that's the other thing. And they had a lot of, that was one of the cases too, that they had a lot of physical evidence as well. Her dress was ripped. They had kind of like, there was a chemical on her dress that they couldn't figure out what that was.
The white powder, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't the other kind of white powder, but it's like, it's
we won't go there, yeah.
Yeah, right. But
it wasn't the blue dress from Bill Clinton.
But it was all of the stuff is interesting.
I'll say careful, you'll be on the hit list if you're not careful.
Again?
That's a whole other interview.
Yeah, that's a whole other interview, David.
Anyway, how did you become interested in the UFOs and the paranormal? I suppose that's a question I ought to ask, really, isn't it?
Well, and for me, Eric, I've been always interested in it. I mean, my family's had several, paranormal experiences, and me personally, I've had, experiences, as a young person. And, but I was intrigued by it because it's like, there's gotta be more answers we can't be the only ones here. So that was what really got, and then all of the reports and these real credible people and sane people are seeing a lot of really unexplainable things. And that's what really got me interested and why I wanted to do this investigation, show, because the genre is huge, number one. And there's a lot of people that want to know answers.
Obviously, you get to know the people that are the charlatans and the ones that are telling you the truth, don't you?
Yeah, the more you're involved in it, it becomes more evident who is and who isn't.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about charlatans. How do you feel about the Bob Lazar story?
Hey, what?
Bob Lazar, the Area 51.
Bob Lazar. Do you know the Bob Lazar? I don't think.
I mean, for about 20 years, I actually believed in the Bob Lazar story. Now I'm not so sure because I've heard quite a bit that he's a bit of a fraud and a charlatan.
Bob Lazar was a guy who worked at Area 51, and he came out and said that he basically worked on reverse engineered alien technology. So but he was they couldn't find any pay stub from him working there. They couldn't find any kind of. So I don't know. I mean, the whole thing could be, who knows?
Yeah, you're a bit on the fence like me then now because it's a shame because I spent about 20 years believing him, but when you get to a point when you think, I'm not so sure now, it's.
Yeah, and then you have to go down another road. You go down one rabbit hole, and then you come back up another one, and it's like, well, now that didn't pan out. And that's what happens with a lot of the research. If you're going in one direction, and then it doesn't pan out to what you thought it would be, what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
Do you give up on it, or do you take another road?
Yeah.
So basically that's, and that's what we do as investigators. We just try to find the truth. We try to keep, going with, the research, and like Bill Burns and I were just on this, and Bill had said a incredible thing too, like you've got to do the forensic research on it and scientific research and look at it from a scientific standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't just accept what someone says. I mean, you've got to be willing to also change your mind and view about something.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Stanton Friedman was he says, you've got to follow the evidence, basically. I mean, if someone says that they've seen something and you can prove that they haven't, then that's where it ends up, and even if you believed them before.
Exactly. Exactly.
But with each one of those, though, you become a little more leery, and you take things a little more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So we all group then. I'm calling it a group. I'm not talking about the Eric Mintel Quartet. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. Your Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. When did you start that?
I just started it in 2016, and Dave and I have been playing together for close to 20 years, and so I asked Dave. I said, "Hey, Dave, do you want to work with me on some of these videos?" And to be honest, the first couple of videos we did, they were very tongue in cheek, as you saw. They were very fun. They're fun. We wanted to do some fun videos on some paranormal subjects, and so now it's becoming more and more of a business where people are seeking us out to do videos on their establishments, whether it's a restaurant or an inn, a hotel, a historic venue.
Yeah, and it's more of we're kind of making the area aware of these places.
Right.
Not necessarily going in and trying to say, all right, this is the reason why.
Right.
We're just hipping the public to what's going on.
And I started this in 2016, and it was in October of 2016, and we did a video and put it out for Halloween. And when I started the page, it was amazing how many likes I got in the first week. It was like, shot up to like over 500 likes in the first week. And it's constantly getting constant likes. So, and then the videos themselves are getting thousands and thousands of views from people all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, hopefully I'll be able to enhance it a bit over here as well. I mean,
that would be phenomenal. Well, and the thing is, it's people love an escape. That's what I always say too. It's like not only do they want to know and they love this genre, it's an escape from some of the craziness of the world. But the people that actually love this genre will love what we do because we're adding some humor into it. We're adding a lot of energy. We're adding our music into it, which is
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And meeting a lot of interesting people along the way. And not only that, but just hearing some incredible stories from people.
I must say, as I say, the videos are very well done. I mean, it's
thank you.
It's
thank you. They're a lot of fun, and I can't wait to share the UFO video that we just did on Monday with you guys. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get Bill on this show. Whether he can talk him into it for me, I don't know, but.
Absolutely. We'll work together for that, for sure.
Yes.
You help us get the word out over there.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely. I mean, I've actually become a fan, Eric. I've been listening to some of your music that you sent me, the clips and things, and I've been searching it out, and I think I've not really been a jazz fan as such in my time, but there are some jazz music that I do like. So, I mean, I'll tell you what, another thing that was good. You remember the Dirty Harry movies with Clint Eastwood? Clint's a bit of a jazz fan, and the soundtracks for the Dirty Harry movies were quite jazzy.
Well, Clint Eastwood, you probably know this or may not know this. He's also a jazz pianist.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
He plays jazz, and he actually him and Dave Brubeck were good friends too. He used to see Dave Brubeck at the Black Hawk in San Francisco back in the 50s.
Right. Yeah, he's good friends with one of our jazz musicians over here. I don't know if you've heard of him, Jamie Cullum.
Oh yeah, Jamie Cullum, sure, absolutely,
little fella.
Jamie did the theme song for one of our favorite Clint Eastwood films, Gran Torino.
Oh right, yeah, that's right, that's correct, yeah.
That was Clint playing at the end, and the song that he composed. Yeah,
and Clint wrote that song.
Yeah. But I mean, I've liked a lot of the soundtrack. I built a couple of the soundtrack albums actually because I like the music on them. Because I think that was Lalo Schifrin, wasn't it? Schifrin?
Oh yes, Lalo Schifrin. Well, he did a lot of different things. He did the Mission Impossible theme. He did the Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon theme. A lot of people don't know that. He did the Mannix theme with Mike Connors.
Oh, that's right. That's that clip you put on the other day, wasn't it, on Facebook?
Yeah.
I've forgotten all about that show when I told us all of that.
That's great show. We play that. So one of the things my group does too, my jazz group, is we'll play a lot of classic TV show themes in concert.
Oh, great! I love all that.
Yeah,
have you ever been over here to play, Eric? And Dave?
Well, David, it's funny you mentioned that. I had an opportunity years ago. I want to say it's in 2002. I had been able to hook up with a promoter over there. Her name was Susan. I can't remember what her last name was, but maybe it was. I thought it was Taylor, but I don't think that's it. But and Dave was with me. I think it was Dave was one of the first couple of years that you were in the group. But I wanted to set up a tour to go and tour England. And I was able to get a couple of gigs on my own. One was, I think, 700 pounds, whatever that is, and then one was maybe 600 pounds or something.
That's about $1,000, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. So the thing was, this promoter wound up getting us a whole bunch of gigs in a lot of different jazz clubs and things like that in England, in the area. But unfortunately, I kept trying to get a hold of her and couldn't get a hold of her for like 3 weeks because I'm trying to figure out this whole budget and everything like that. So I finally got a hold of her and she said, well, the gigs themselves will only pay like $100 a guy, but you've got to pay for your airfare and you've got to pay for your own room too. Yeah. I was like, there was no way I could make it happen, but it would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been great. And that's one of the things, sometimes, we fight on that, but lately we've been doing really well, and we're getting what we should be getting paid for a lot of the gigs. And, and it just leads to bigger and bigger, avenues, and we're reaching a lot more people.
You do seem very highly sought after. You seem to have so many gigs going on that I've seen. You actually played in the White House as well, didn't you, at some point?
Yeah, we twice.
Oh.
Played in 1998 for President Clinton. I think we just mentioned the Monica Lewinsky. We just mentioned, it was 2 days, I think, after the Monica Lewinsky thing happened.
Wow.
I think a day before he was supposed to bomb Iraq or something happened. But that was 1998, and that was a great experience. And I had said to the president, I had given him a CD we had at the time, and I said, Mr. President, you and I have a mutual friend in Dave Brubeck. And he said, Dave Brubeck, Dave said that I was the first elected official that could hum the bridge to Blue Rondo a la Turk, one of Dave Brubeck's tunes. And then we had the opportunity in 2011 to perform at the White House again. My girlfriend said, you should try the White House again. I said, that's probably a once in a lifetime thing. There's no way that's going to happen again. She's like, well, give it a try. Give him a call. So
just like
just like that. I had the phone number in my phone. I gave him a call, and I said, it's Eric Mintel. We'd like to perform again. They said, well, what's your availability for December? And this was in 2011. So we got a chance to perform for Obama in 2011. And that was great. And again, I went up to him, and for Michelle was there as well. And I said, Mr. President, we have a mutual friend in Dave Brubeck. And he said, well, you know what? Dave Brubeck was was the first jazz concert I ever went to see with my father when I was a kid. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Definitely.
And they put us in a great environment and were very nice to us. And, so all those experiences are great. We played at the Kennedy Center over 10 times, and,
the UN.
We played at the United Nations. The load into the UN was unbelievable. But beyond all that, David, we have those great experiences, which are awesome. But what I really pride ourselves in is we go into all different areas all over the country, and, hopefully all over the world soon. We're actually talking with my contact at the UN. We're talking about maybe going to New Delhi, India.
Wow.
But what we pride ourselves in is playing concerts, colleges, universities, and jazz clubs, but we'll do workshops during the day and do workshops on jazz and talk about, the dynamics of a jazz quartet and jazz group.
I'll have to try and put some feelers out. The little reach that I have, I'll have to see what I can do. I'd love to get you over here.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's, every little bit helps.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, you never know who's going to hear this show when it goes out, and I'm certainly going to have a couple of your clips on, and certainly I'm going to try and do as much as I can. But I'd love to get you over here. I mean,
it would be phenomenal, man. That would be great. And Dave himself was such a great guy. Dave was, we did a tribute to Brubeck CD years ago, and Dave said, you play my music better than I play. And Dave, he was just a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an honour to have that said to you. But,
yeah, absolutely.
But,
we opened up for Dave had mentioned, we opened up for Dave Brubeck at the Kimmel Center in Philadelphia, and Dave came out to hear us, and he was sitting in the audience smiling from ear to ear. Mm-hmm. And what a dream. Here I am, listening to Brubeck for years, and there he is listening to my group.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That was a really dream come true. He came up to us, loved what we were doing, said to Dave he dug the bass line for one tune that we did, I think, so it was cool. He's a great guy.
That's an absolute accolade to have someone like that say that to you. That's brilliant. Well,
absolutely.
I guess that's kind of just over the hour up now. I don't think, unless you want to carry on a bit more. I mean, I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about, but it's kind of they try and make me limit this to about an hour, although they do go over a bit sometimes.
Absolutely.
But, if you want to put out any plans if you want to tell anyone what you've got going on over the next few weeks and months.
Absolutely. Well, we've got some videos coming up that I want to share with people, and they can find us on Facebook at Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. So make sure you write that down.
Yeah, I'll make a link for it anyway. Yeah.
Okay, Bucks County Paranormal Investigations on Facebook. As far as the jazz goes, they can find us on Eric, E-R-I-C, Mintel, M-I-N-T-E-L, quartet.com, and they'll see us playing all over the place there. And then on YouTube, we've got videos on YouTube. You could check out Bucks County Paranormal Investigations on YouTube, as well as all of our jazz quartet, on YouTube as well. And then look me up as well online. I have Talking Jazz with Eric Mintel on Facebook, as well as Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. And I do an interview show, besides doing a lot of our, in field work investigational videos.
You do. He's a very busy man out there, if you're all listening.
It's a lot of fun. I love being creative, and and I love talking to creative people like yourself. So, David, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Eric, and Dave. Thank you very much for coming on. And as I said, I'm a fan now, so I hope when you come over, you'll come and see me as well.
Absolutely, man. Are you kidding? For sure.
I'm going to try and put some feelers out in my little reach that I've got, but you never know. I'll see what I can do.
That would be phenomenal, David. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but all I can say now is thank you for coming on the show, and this is Eric Mintel and David Antonow. How do you spell that? Antonow, is it? Antonow. Sorry, I've scribbled it down, and I can't read my own writing.
Just as long as you don't say damn Anto.
But I'll make sure it gets written down properly on the site anyway. But thanks ever so much for coming on. You've got a gig tonight, I understand, as well.
Yeah, in a couple hours from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and does that go on to the early hours of the morning?
No, we stopped doing a lot of those, David. A lot of times out here they want you to do 4 hour. We used to do 4 hour gigs. Now it's 2. Oh. So we play 2 hours and get out of there.
No, you don't do a Bruce Springsteen 5 hour stint now.
No. Unless we were getting, the Bruce Springsteen's money, sure. Then, but no, this is it's 2 hours, but 2 hours of non-stop energy.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I know. I've seen the energy in your shows. They're brilliant, actually. As I say, I've really become a fan. I'm going to have to try and get somebody for CDs, actually.
Absolutely. You let me know what your address is, and I'll send you one over.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. You have to don't send a plastic box. You can just stick it in an envelope.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Fantastic. And then hopefully we'll get over there and play.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do my best to try and get you over. Well, if I can possibly do it. But anyway, what I'm going to have to say fairly well now, and thank you very much for coming on, Eric and Dave. It's been great talking to you. Obviously, we'll be in touch shortly anyway about stuff.
We're going to do this again.
Yeah,
we'll do it again.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there's so many more subjects we can probably cover as well. But,
for sure. Oh, lots more.
But anyway, what I'm going to do at the end of this show, I'm going to play out with a little bit more of your music as well. So,
thank you so much. That sounds great. And I'll be in touch with you about coming on my show.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Eric. It's quite an honour, actually.
It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a blast.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Anyway, right, thanks for listening, everybody out there. You've been listening to Eric Mintel and Dave, and this is the Paranormal UK Radio Network, and I'm David Young, and this is Paranormal Dimensions, and farewell, Eric, and thank you for coming on. And
you got it, David.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Cheers, both of you. Take care.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Good luck for tonight. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, I've really got to end this show with another extract from the fantastic Eric Mintel Quartet. Thanks for listening, everybody. Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network. Bye.